The story begins by showing a man who we will call Mr. X has just arrived at the building where he works, where the man gives a bullet to his assistant to be examined, which turns out to be a special type of bullet that cannot be traced like bullets in general. And suddenly,
get down!
Across the building were some people who looked like construction workers, who turned out to be hitmen who were ready to kill the man. But instead of running away, the man prepared to take a running start, intending to jump across the building and easily kill everyone who tried to kill him. Who knows who this man is? He is clearly not an ordinary man who often sits behind a desk, because judging from his abilities, it is certain that this man is a trained human being and is used to doing unnatural and impossible actions that cannot be done by ordinary humans in general. Not long after, the cell phone of one of the hitmen rang where the call came from the perpetrator who had hired the hitmen, and the man was standing right on the X mark, which was a trap point for the perpetrator to shoot him from a very long distance. And this is Wanted. The story will focus on an accountant manager named Wesley Gibson. He is a sad office man who always repeats the same activities every day and is also intimidated by his boss named Janice, who never appreciates Wesley's work, his girlfriend who is having an affair with his office friend named Barry, and his body condition, which often experiences panic attacks, so that Wesley must routinely consume sedatives every day.
In fact, the only thing I do...
Wesley!
One night while buying medicine at the pharmacy, Wesley was surprised by the appearance of a beautiful woman with a type of lips that had an extraordinarily high attraction named Fox, who said that she knew his father and told him about his father who had just died last week because he was killed by a man named Cross, where the killer named Cross turned out to be right behind Wesley with the intention of killing him too. A gunfight broke out between Fox and Cross. Where are their shooting skills both are at a level, or levels more than ordinary human beings in general. Moreover, Fox uses a unique firearm whose tip can turn both ways so that she can shoot from behind the shelf and still be protected by the shelf. Wesley, who doesn't know anything, chooses to leave there and is almost hit by a truck. But Fox saves him and takes Wesley away in her car. Cross, who doesn't want his target to be lost, chases him by driving a truck. Fox asks Wesley to take over the wheel while he shoots Cross, but Fox's position made it difficult for Wesley to concentrate. Since the truck he was driving was slower, Cross had to lose them when a bus blocked his path. Cross showed extraordinary shooting skills that were also impossible to do in the real world, deflecting bullets, and hit the tires of the car driven by Fox and Wesley. When the police approached, Cross was no longer in the truck, while Wesley and Fox were able to escape even though her car was crushed. Later, Wesley, who had just woken up from fainting, was suddenly shocked when he was in a strange place where there were several of Fox's friends, including an old man named Sloan, who was the leader of an organization called the Fraternity of Assassins, whose job was to kill people, according to predetermined destiny. Then Wesley was forced to shoot the wings of 3 flying flies, which was very impossible to do. What a surprise to Wesley he was able to do it with extremely accurate. Then Sloan explained that the panic attacks he often experienced were not a disease, but a gift that allowed him to see things in slow motion, because his heart beats 400 times faster than a normal human being in general. And this ability was also possessed by his late father, who died in the earlier scene. Sloane also explains that his father was killed by a traitor to the organization named Cross, the same man who tried to kill Wesley at the pharmacy earlier. So the purpose of bringing Wesley here is to protect him, train him, and recruit him so that his talents are not wasted and useful for avenging his father's death. Not only that, all of his father's assets have now been transferred to Wesley's account, including his favorite gun, which is currently held by Wesley, which has officially become his personal property. But with all this suddenness, Wesley of course feels that everything Sloane said is just nonsense.
You don't know anything about me.
Wesley is back in his apartment with his girlfriend still sleeping right next to him. Wesley thought for a moment that it was all a dream, but when his father's gun fell to the floor, he realized that everything that had happened before was real, so Wesley quickly hid the gun in the toilet. Wesley now has a lot of money in his account, as Sloane said about all of his father's assets being transferred to him, but his fun is suddenly interrupted by the appearance of his boss, who is being annoying again. Because of his boss's treatment all this time, and with all the anger, annoyance, and disgust that had built up inside him, Wesley finally let out his emotions that he had been holding in all this time.
Shut the f*** up!
It made his boss quiet instantly. Wesley also hits the face of Star-Lord, the Guardians of the Galaxy, here named Barry, with a keyboard. With his emotions vented, Wesley felt truly alive and more enthusiastic that day. Wesley decided to join Fox to go to the headquarters of the killer organization located in a textile factory, intending to accept Sloane's invitation last night, who wanted to recruit him as a member of the organization. However, Wesley had to go through a series of tests to see how much he wanted to join them all. He was named the repairman, who served as an interviewer, to see if Wesley did this purely on his own intentions or someone told him to. He was tied to a chair and then beaten 3 times, until he fell unconscious. Then, Wesley met the second examiner named the Butcher. He tested Wesley by inviting him to fight with a knife. Wesley was in excruciating pain and woke up in the recovery room with his body submerged in hardened wax, an ancient method for healing wounds caused by sharp weapons or gunshot wounds, and the person responsible for this was a Russian man called the Russian. The next day, Wesley was taken to a shooting range with a target board that was blocked by a whole piece of pork. Wesley thought he had to shoot the target by piercing the pork, but instead, he was required to shoot the target without scratching the pork at all, which meant Wesley had to be able to deflect the bullet. Wesley thought it was impossible, so Sloane explained that it depended on how strong a person's instincts were to take into account. But firstly, Wesley would be trained by Fox to control his ability to slow down time and strengthen his instincts. By catching a knitting roller that was moving very fast, Wesley had difficulty doing it until his hand was injured, failed with the knitting spool. Fox takes Wesley up on the roof of a speeding train where this dangerous activity is part of his instinct-strengthening training. However, since this is his first time, he is scared when he goes under a bridge and hits his head, and again, Wesley wakes up in the recovery room with the Russian beside him playing with his rat. The Russian shows a method that he said was created by Wesley's father by attaching small explosives to the body of a rat and making it a deadly weapon. Every day, Wesley continues to be battered by Fox and his friends. Until now, Wesley has not shown any significant development, while one by one the members of the fraternity continue to fall because they were killed by Cross. Sloane believes that the only person who can track and kill Cross is Wesley. Sloane felt that Wesley needed a stronger push than just training, so he invited Wesley to his father's private room and explained the reason Cross killed his father. From there, Wesley began to practice diligently, including conducting independent investigations by investigating the special untraceable bullets that Cross always used, leaving one question about why only Wesley escaped from Cross. Considering that from the existing records, Cross is a perfect killer who has never made a mistake or failed to kill his target, but Wesley chose not to think about it yet. After weeks of being beaten by them, Wesley began to rise by fighting back and making the repairman and the butcher feel the same pain that Wesley had felt for the past few weeks. Not only that, Wesley also succeeded in the train test and also caught the knitting roller without injuring his hand at all. Later, in the last test, Wesley felt he couldn't do it, even though Sloane had shown that it could be done. Then Fox volunteered so that Wesley had a strong reason to be able to deflect bullets.
Shoot the target.
Successfully deflecting bullets, Wesley was invited by Sloane to find out about the origins of this organization, which had been formed 1,000 years ago. Sloane shows a loom called the Loom of Faith that has existed since 1,000 years ago. This loom produces cloth containing a code to be solved into a person's full name, which is the name of the target they must kill, even though their target has not committed a crime or mistake. But Sloane and this organization will still kill their targets, and that is their main task, to prevent crimes by killing targets before they actually commit their crimes in the future. All of this is done on the basis of belief in destiny, placing a person's life based on the cloth made by the loom. Wesley got his first assignment to kill a target who was an office man, who, even though Wesley didn't know him at all and didn't know what his mistake was, Sloane still asked Wesley to kill the person. During his first assignment, Wesley couldn't kill his target because he still had doubts about everything he heard, because he thought whether someone's life really depended on a loom that was unclear where the code came from. At first glance, Wesley felt that this was all unreasonable, but Fox convinced Wesley by telling him about her past when her father was killed by a criminal whose name appeared in the Loom of Faith exactly a week before the incident occurred.
Force them to watch while he burns his targets alive.
After hearing Fox's sad story about her past, Wesley began to believe all of Sloane's words about the loom of destiny. Later that night, Wesley managed to kill his first target with a bullet-deflecting technique. Then he got a new target, a mafia boss with a bulletproof car. So for this one task, he had to collaborate with Fox to do a backflip so that Wesley had the opportunity to kill him from above.
I'm sorry.
Successful with his first two missions, Wesley went back to his apartment to get his father's gun that he put in the toilet, and coincidentally, there was Barry, who had just finished having fun with Wesley's girlfriend. His girlfriend kept saying things that belittled him, making Fox furious, until she decided to go in and kiss Wesley right in front of Barry and Wesley's girlfriend.
He's a man.
Just when Fox was going to get the car, Wesley, who was alone, was approached by Cross until a shootout occurred. Who knows what the real facts are that have not been revealed? Cross could have killed Wesley very easily, but he didn't do it, and instead lured Wesley to chase him to a quiet place, and Wesley lost Cross. Later, Wesley felt someone behind him and turned around while shooting, and it turned out to be the Russian. Suddenly, Cross appeared and made a deflecting shot that hit Wesley's left arm. The Russian's life could not be saved. Wesley, who felt guilty, was even more made to hate Cross, who was the cause of the Russian's death. With a bullet lodged in his arm, Wesley tried to examine the bullet and found that the bullet that Cross used this time was not a rare bullet that was not difficult to track, because Wesley already had the name and photo of the maker of the bullet, a man named Pekwarski, who lived in a monastery which was the initial location of the formation of this organization. Then Sloane gave Cross's name as Wesley's next target, and when Wesley left the room, Sloane gave Fox a new target, who turned out to be Wesley. Arriving at the monastery, Wesley finally met Pekwarski and asked him to tell him where Cross was. Pekwarski agreed to tell him and even wanted to meet Wesley with Cross. At the train station, Wesley, accompanied by Fox, lost Pekwarski, who ran away. And while looking for Pekwarski, Wesley realized Cross' presence on the train and entered the train until finally the train moved and left Fox at the station. Then Fox stole a car and chased the train. Meanwhile, inside the train with many other passengers, there was a shootout between Wesley and Cross, so both of them used the bullet deflection technique. Then Fox decided to get into the train by jumping the car into one of the carriages so that the back of the train derailed and made the train officer have to stop the train right on the bridge. Who knows what is really happening? Cross, who at first seemed to want to kill Wesley, suddenly helped him, so that he did not fall into the abyss. However, Wesley still shot him right in the chest. In those dying moments, Cross told Wesley that he had been lied to by Sloan, because in fact, Cross was Wesley's biological father, and it was confirmed directly by Fox, who confirmed it, and now Wesley had to die because his name appeared as a target to be killed, and the reason Fox was there was to kill him. However, Wesley managed to escape from Fox.
You're my son.
Is it true?
Yes.
Later, Wesley woke up in an apartment directly across from his apartment, and there was Pequarski, and explained about Cross, his father. Cross is a former member of the organization who chose to leave after finding out the fact about the name Sloan that appeared from the loom of destiny. Sloan could not accept it, and began to engineer the targets that had to be killed according to his personal interests. Pequarski gives Wesley a flight ticket to escape as far as possible, but with all that has happened, Wesley refuses and intends to take revenge on Sloan and his organization. Utilizing his father's knowledge, Wesley devises a plan using explosive rats to destroy Sloan and his organization, starting with buying peanut butter in large quantities to get a group of rats that often gather at the garbage dump. After everything was ready, Wesley immediately drove to Sloan's headquarters by driving a garbage truck and let thousands of rats enter the textile factory. After the rats exploded, Wesley entered the textile factory alone and fought dozens of people inside, including the repairman. Finished with the repairman and the troops below. Now it's time for Wesley to face the butcher who, even though he had been his trainer some time ago, Wesley will not hesitate to finish him off this time. Arriving at the library, Wesley seems to be unable to do much when Fox and the organization members point guns at him, and Wesley immediately shows evidence that Sloan's name appears as a target to be killed. Then, Sloan immediately defended himself by showing that Fox's name and everyone in this room also appeared, which meant they all had to die, and were welcome to point the gun at each other's heads and pull the trigger if that was what they wanted. Sloan emphasized that what he did was not for his own interests, but for the common good. Under his leadership, this organization was getting stronger every day. The Brotherhood was getting tighter, so that once again, if they did not agree with Sloan's words, please point the gun at each other's heads or kill Wesley and continue their lives. While others don't care about the loom of fate and intend to kill Wesley, Fox is the only one who believes in her fate to die, so she makes an increasingly irrational shot, spinning the bullet and killing all the members of the fraternity there, including herself. Wesley now has no choice but to return to his old life as an accounting manager and has a small balance in his account. At the office, while Wesley is working, Sloan suddenly appears behind Wesley with the intention of killing him. But Sloan is shocked to find out that the man is not Wesley, because it was just a trap set by Wesley like what his father Cross had done. And that's it. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.